shining a beacon on the bizarre.
Hey, Parky, post up, mate. My hands are mucky.
Bloody hell, look at colour you are.
It's round my hands in it, covered in mud. Look at my nails.
I tell you what, I'll get a bit of the old Swarfiga out.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Got the orange stuff, that's good. But, hang about, how come you got some mucky?
I've been gardening, haven't I? My little project.
Oh,
it's coming on grand, my friend. It must be like magic beans or something. They're shooting up. I got like a mysterious package through the post a bit ago.
What?
Loads of magic beans or something. I planted them.
What?
They're proper growing hardcore, dude. You should see them. I don't know what the fuck they are.
Oh, you shouldn't be meddling with stuff like that. Who sent you them?
I don't know. I just kind of came through post.
Oh, no.
Why? What's up?
Yeah, well, you don't know what it is. You're meddling with science, aren't you?
It's a
bug.
I thought there might be magic beans.
What's that? Hang about. I can hear a knocking at the door.
Well, it ain't dolphins, is it? They've been behaving all week.
I'll just go see who it is. I'll open the door.
Shit, alright.
Oh my god!
Are they fucking triffids or what? What the fuck were they?
They were triffids!
Oh my god. What about salt water? Should we hose them down with salt water? That's what happened in the movie.
Oh, I don't know. I might just leave them for now. We'll see what happens.
I'm not going back out there. Screw
hell,
that game, mate.
That's not good, is it?
They were, oh, Jesus. What's happening to this island, dude?
It's chaos at the moment. Oh, I'm going to need to sit down anyway.
Yeah, screw all that malarkey. I'll get kettle and you have a seat.
Oh, bloody hell.
Get washed up.
Well, I think for now what we need to do is introduce ourselves.
I'm Benny.
And I'm Matt. And this is Kraken Cove, the podcast that shines a beacon onto the bizarre.
It's bizarre out there, dude.
I can see those little green tendrils coming over glass.
That's all suckers and everything.
Oh my god, that's no bloody good,
big
is
though,
it?
are they? I'm pretty proud of them boys.
Well, yeah, but it's not... They'd be growing for anyone, them. That's the idea. They could be weaponised.
Shit.
So you could have got yourself right in the shit now, Arcade.
Could have infected Ireland, really, couldn't I?
But what we need to do now, we need to cast a light out and see if we can get any information, shine a light on it.
Yeah, baby.
So let's have a look, see what we can see. Right, so I've cast my light out, and this is what I've come up with.
Ooh.
Right, so this is a story from the Daily Mirror, right, by Lucy Scolding.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. And the headline is, Warning over mystery packets of seed being sent across the world from China.
Whoa. Freebies are a little bit suspicious.
Well, that's the thing, so we better find out here. So people around the globe are receiving strange packets of seeds in the post without any explanation as to who they come from or why they've been sent. All that is known is the parcels come from China, and people in the US and UK have reported receiving them totally out of the blue. If you've received one of these weird parcels or know someone who has, you may be wondering what the seeds are and if it's safe to plant them,
Oh dear.
Oh, Christ.
I'm a sucker for a freebie though.
Oh man. God knows I didn't see your bloody dildo in person. There's no explanation as to why people are getting these packages, but they usually have Chinese writing on and are labelled as containing jewellery, possibly to avoid security checks. So all 50 states of the US have sent out warnings against them in case they're dangerous. The problem has been quite prolific, with 630 reports in Florida alone.
God.
Jesus wept! I mean, this is like genetic warfare. That could be anything, you know.
It could be anything though, couldn't it? Like you say, if you open it up, it's like some what were they doing in post before?
The sarin, was it?
Something like
something like, or anthrax.
Yeah.
Anthrax, that kind of thing, But I mean, it's like they're saying it could be 100 households in England so far have got them. They've turned up in places like Portugal. The US Department of Agriculture has warned against planting the seeds, as they may include an invasive species that could threaten native plants.
Oh my God.
So that's absolutely weird. Just think of that, And it's true. I mean, you shouldn't be planting stuff like that anyway, because you don't know, it could be invasive. I mean, it could be Japanese knotweed. I don't know if you've ever seen that stuff.
I haven't, no, but it doesn't sound right.
Well, the worst one for me, the worst invasive plant is the giant hogweed.
Ugh.
Right, and that can be as big as bloody halfway up the bloody lighthouse. That, but it's mega toxic. So if you brush against it, what happens is your skin comes up with these, when I say big blisters as big as your fist.
Oh no!
Filled with fluid. And when it bursts, the skin don't properly heal.
Oh
so
my,
you can have this super sensitive skin for years from that. And they came sort of like by accident. People brought, that's a nice decorative plant. We'll pop that in the herbaceous borders or somewhere like that, you know what I mean? And before you know it, you've got yourself a bloody invasion on your hands.
When I went to Oz, I remember, and all these rules and stuff, you can't bring fuck all in. They're really strict at airport. You could feel it as well.
Remember when we were kids, it was always in post offices. The adverts that you had to be frightened of there, it was rabies and Colorado beetle.
All right, no, don't.
Yeah, he was, Well, when I was a kid, that were the two big posters that you had to be careful. And he terrified the shit out of me.
What do they say? Like squish one if you see one or something?
No, if you see one like a Colorado beetle, this was back in the day, because they ruined potato crops did Colorado beetles.
Right.
But because the pictures for the rabies posters, it was basically completely mental, out of control dog on it, right?
Red eyes.
I'm going to see if I can find a picture of it now, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't smuggle death. Oh.
Right, so there's a picture now of one of the old rabies posters that used to be open, and what it basically is, it's a rabid dog attacking a small girl holding a doll.
Oh, I didn't know this girl was shielding herself, and she's just going to get mauled by this frothy dog. Oh God, that's going to scare you. Is that the one then? Is that the one you remember?
Yeah. Oh, there's another good one there. It says, that's Scarfolk Council.
That's unbelievable. Can I look at the fox one, please?
Yeah, I'll look at the fox one.
The fox one looked there. The fox
can transmit rabies.
Look at this evil look.
That's the Scarfolk, isn't it? Look. Don't smuggle death. Keep babies out of Britain.
Devil shadow.
Fuck's sake. The UK's Animal and Plant Health Agency, known as AFA, have similarly warned against planting these unknown seeds. So, speaking to The Guardian, AFA said, I said it sounds like an agency, maybe just like a large entity. AFA says, biosecurity is of vital importance. And he says, no, biosecurity is of vital importance, and we have robust checks in place to protect our plants and wildlife, including for online plant sales. We are currently investigating packages of seeds marked as ear studs. Sent to people in the UK. Anyone who has received such seeds should not plant them. Instead, reports them to us. Oh man,
it's getting scary, isn't it, this one? Because with all dodginess happening in the world, Russia are really stepping the mind games up.
Yeah, well, this is it.
China, are they doing that?
Why are they doing it? I mean, it's in the packages may include herb seeds such as mint, rosemary, sage, and as well as seeds for hibiscus, roses, lavender, mustard, and cabbage. But the thing is, there you think but we don't know whether these are being bioengineered, or being altered in some way, being messed with. We don't know.
It's going to be dark. Whatever it is, they're not doing it for a laugh, are they? And they're not doing it for free. That's like some structure to it. It's going to be awful if they get planted. Yeah.
They've worked with the Department of Homeland Security's Customs and Border Protection and suggested it may be part of a brushing scam.
Brushing scam?
Yeah. It's when a business sends unsolicited products to people using a fake customer account, which then generates a transaction and allows them to put a positive review on their own website, therefore boosting business and growing the company. So that's absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, he's like some weird eBay trick or something. Like you say, they're just boosting the ratings on eBay.
It's some mad sales voodoo that's going on, you know what I mean?
I still won't trust them fucking seeds.
Well, they don't now, we know what's bloody come of them.
there might be a term of market. Can I keep one?
We're going to have to get a flamethrower or something to get it sorted. Well, you can keep one, but then I'll see what the rest
I'll
goes
keep
on.
it chain like a chain chomp or something.
Yeah, like a chain chomp. Well, I reckon we've got something that could actually go up against our Triffid problem on the island. I think if we got some of these recruits on board, I think we'd be aware. So this is the New York Post. It's by Yaron Steinbuck. And the story is, baboons armed with knives and chainsaws spotted in UK safari park.
Oh, what the fuck?
So, there's some real monkey business at a British safari park where a roving gang of baboons armed with knives, screwdrivers and even a chainsaw has been wreaking havoc and sowing fear, according to a report.
Sowing fear. Ooh, honestly, I'm getting a bit scared of them now. Like Texas Chainsaw running after cars with it.
Can you imagine a chimp doing that?
Oh,
well, this is baboons, and I'm frightened of baboons.
I
anyway,
am. Yeah, they're a scary looking dog monkey.
Male baboon. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dog monkey.
Those heads, those beaks they've got. Jesus.
Oh, no. The prowling primates are known to have vandalised vehicles, ripping off windscreen wipers and mirrors from them. And mirrors from them at Knowsley Safari Park in Merseyside. So the bloody Scousers are
Scouse baboon dogs.
They'll do that even before they got the chainsaws and knives. Sorry, Liverpool, we'd like you really. But the baboons have recently been seen carrying an assortment of weapons, including blades, screwdrivers and jets.
That was made of shiv and stuff. It's like, what's
Prison rules? Leading some workers to suspect that visitors have supplied them with the dangerous items for a thrill.
Betting on a fight or something.
Oh my god. So we're not sure if they are being given weapons by some guests who want to see them attack cars, or if they're fishing them out of pickups and truck vans, right?
Chainsaw, come on guys, you've got to police your animals a bit better. Thinking, well, I think they're getting smuggled in. Jesus.
Yeah. They will literally go into people's toolboxes and carry them around. And as they say, one of the baboons was seen lugging around a chainsaw.
Maybe they're doing like repairs.
Now the park officials are suggesting that armed apes are an urban myth. But they're going to say that, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Time we got a problem, keep it indoors.
Yeah. Listen, we believe many of these stories have grown in exaggeration as they've been retold, with embellishments to make the objects that are sometimes found in the enclosure seem more exciting and unbelievable. So what are you suggesting then? It's not really chain, it's just an ordinary saw.
Yeah. It's just a steak knife. It wasn't a flick knife or a butterfly knife at all.
And they were carrying screwdrivers, but they're taking part in essential maintenance.
That tree had to get felled. I tell you what though, I was back in day and I were absolutely smoked off my weasel on couch. And it was daytime.
That's not like you.
I know.
And it was daytime.
Back in when you could actually do it in daytime, wake and bake. Put this movie on, you know, you just like halfway through a movie, there was nothing else on the TV. Back in the day, there were like 5 channels or something.
Yeah.
So I'm watching it, it's all innocent about this plane crashes on this island, and you know, you've
Not innocent.
but they've got these survivors on it. I'm trying to piece together who's who, you know what I mean? But they're kind of like the big dude who's a bit of an anti-hero, and it ends up with him just left. You know, the other ones, I don't know what's happened to them, but they've kind of gone, and it's just him on his own. And he's in this kind of natural-looking amphitheatre.
Yeah,
And he's at the bottom of this, and he must be having a problem with baboons all the way through the show. You know what I mean?
Baboon bother.
Exactly, and it comes to it where it's like, boom, he's surrounded by boons. You know what I mean? They're all looking down at him. And that big boy comes down, doesn't he? You know, like the alpha boon, and he has to fight the fucking alpha boon. And I mean, I'm watching, thinking, wait a minute, this is like 70s and they look proper real. I think they are real, and he looks like he's fighting a real baboon, isn't he? And he ends up killing it, with a rock or something. And then the last scene is just the other baboons just like closing the ring on him, and then he's just under all his. And I'm looking, thinking, God Almighty, that looks,
and then you woke up on the couch and tell it went off. If anybody out there knows what baboon movie this is,
I've tried to find it. If please someone tell me I'm not going mad. It's gonna be like that bloody badger again, innit? Honey badger with ball.
Yeah, it's another of your little man-made myths.
Please get back in touch. Someone must have seen that film.
Yes, please send us an email at krakencovepodcast@gmail.com, or on Twitter at Kraken Cove, or on Instagram at Kraken Cove Pod. So if you know anything about this baboon murder,
reach out to them, Eddie.
The monkey enclosure is well known to mechanics in the northwest area of England, where the 550-acre park, which also houses lions, tigers, rhinos, wildebeest and camels, is located.
Oh my.
So he says, people know what's going to happen when they drive inside. I've had 2 customers this year who've been victims of those baboons, right? I've a mate with a garage in St Helens and it's exactly the same. The kids start chirping up saying they want monkeys all over the car. And the next thing you know, you're driving home with no registration plate. Good money for us though. I'm not complaining. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And why would you bring your car into them enclosures? I'm never going to do that, man.
I've done it once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, never again.
Yeah. Oh no. Just.
What is the idea? You want to cut a baboon all over again? No, you don't.
How's he got in? He just somehow got in. I'm just like, I don't like them odds.
The idea of a baboon in your car. Can you imagine that thing just kicking off with a screwdriver?
Those teeth, yeah, with a screwdriver. My kid's watching it. Oh, what?
Stand up. You're like, tell the kids.
Yeah, come with the rice.
Heerlijk land van mijn dromen, ergens hier ver vandaan, waar ik zo graag wil komen, daar waar geen leed kan bestaan.
So in times of crisis, when you got baboons on the rampage and things, and it's like, you what you need then? You need a bit of a hero, don't you?
Yeah,
you need somebody who's been
I always
tried
like a hero.
You like a hero, don't you, Benny? So what you need is somebody who's been tried and tested. You want somebody who's basically won wars, don't you?
Wow, yeah.
Because if you're going up against baboons, it's a war, isn't it?
Yeah. Combat ready.
So was there ever a better, tougher soldier than Churchill?
Because he did see action in First World War, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And then he literally did the do on the second, control the masses of the war.
Well, it depends which Churchill you're on about.
Not the dog.
If you talk about Mad Jack Churchill, then you'll be onto a right one here, right?
Mad Jack Churchill.
So he was John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill, was a British Army officer who fought in the Second World War with a longbow and bagpipes and a Scottish broadsword.
Oh, wow.
Nicknamed Fighting Jack Churchill, or just Mad Jack. He was known for the motto, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed."
Wow.
So do you want a quick look at Mad Jack Churchill, right?
I hope he's about 7 foot tall or something.
So I want you to just have a quick look at this picture, innit?
Oh, that's him with his sword, isn't it? In the surf, jumping off a landing craft.
And also, if you think about it as well, he's a captain, right? Wow. He's leading from the front.
Jesus.
He's ready to take on the troops with nothing but a sword to start with, right?
My God.
So he had like a pretty ordinary, well, not an ordinary upbringing. I think he was part of a colonial upbringing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sort of like, so he was born to Alec Fleming Churchill, right, and his mother Eleanor Elizabeth, right. So I think they're from quite good family. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? It's that sort of the military stock, people and those sorts of things. So Churchill was educated at King William's College on the Isle of Man, and he graduated from the Royal Military College at Sandhurst. So he's sort of like proper officer class types, you know what I mean? And he served in Burma, which is a bit of a forgotten war, you know what I mean? But he was a tough old time of it. And he said to us enjoyed riding his motorbike while in Burma, which is,
through the jungles.
So Churchill left the army in 1936, and he worked as a newspaper editor in Nairobi in Kenya, and as a male model.
Wow.
Ooh, sexy. So he used his archery and bagpipe talents to play a small role in the 1924 film The Thief of Baghdad.
Right.
So he's a film star as well then, right? And he also appeared in the 1938 film A Yank at Oxford. Now I think that's referring to an American. As opposed to
what goes on when the lights are out?
As opposed to one off the wrist.
Get the biscuit, boys.
He took second place in the 1938 military piping competition at the Aldershot Tattoo, right? And in 1939, he represented Great Britain at the World Archery Championship in Oslo.
Wow, so you were good with his boy, weren't you? Sure.
So when the war started, right, he joined up again, right? Obviously, because the guy's an absolute, he's mad for it.
He loves a bit of war.
So he resumed his commission after Germany invaded Poland in 1939 and was assigned to the Manchester Regiment, which was actually his old regiment, and he was sent to France in the British Expeditionary Force. Now, a lot of people, you might not know what that is, but that's the first force that kind of went in to start thinking, we're going to go in and beat the Hun.
Yeah, and they had to run off right quick.
Basically, it was
Dunkirk,
exactly, So in May 1940, Churchill and some of his men ambushed a German patrol near L'Épinette, which is near Richebourg and Pas-de-Calais, and Churchill gave the signal to attack by raising his claymore. And for those who don't know, a claymore is a massive fuck-off Scottish sword. He's just... In fact, let's have a quick look at a claymore.
Cool. I thought it could be a gun or something. Sounds like a gun, doesn't it?
It does actually. That's a claymore.
Wow.
So that's a claymore sword. And there's another thing called a claymore. It's a thing called a claymore mine. Which is
I
used
thought it was something.
They use it widely in Vietnam and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I know.
And the reason why it's called a claymore mine is because it's a slightly arched mine. It's like imagine like a flat box.
Yeah.
But with a TNT or a plastic explosive in there. But the box is slightly curved. It's like a curved box. But then on top of the plastic explosive, it's just thousands of ball bearings. And it's called a claymore because once it goes off, instead of something you step on, it fires upwards. It fires horizontally. And it sweeps people down like you've swept them down with a sword. That's the way they just kind of hacked down in a sweep from these things. And it was called just like the sword, exactly. So that's what he was wielding on the battlefield.
It looks like you need both hands for that. He just picks it up with one hand and go on.
And he just goes for it. Yeah, I mean, the man's absolutely rock hard. Absolutely rock hard. Yeah.
You'd cack it though, wouldn't you? Seeing someone coming in, you got machine guns. Think, look at him with his sword. You could have figured out what in your hand, wouldn't you?
A common story as well is that Churchill killed a German with his longbow in this action. However, Churchill later did claim that his bows had been crushed by a lorry earlier in the campaign, but he's still not too sure. You know what I mean? So, but after fighting in Dunkirk, that's when he volunteered for the Commandos.
Wow, now, that's the dude you wanted in a commando unit.
Well, I don't even know much about the commando unit really. For a lot of the actions, it's disputed, but they were trained almost like suicide troops.
Shit.
They knew a lot of the actions they were going into, they will not be coming out of.
Wow.
There's no ways. There was again, just top of the dome. One of the first main actions I took, I think it was taking a port up in like the Scandinavian countries somewhere.
Right.
And they knew that there was only one way in. That was all. There was
no way out.
And they would just basically take down as much as you can, just blow up as much as you can, and just keep going and going and going. And they did. And it's just he's absolutely.
Some folks are like for thrill and stuff. They're like nutters.
Well, that's what Mad Jack's like.
Yeah,
this is this guy absolutely all round, right?
But he comes home.
That's the kind of guy he is. Yeah, he's like what's it? He's like Brian Blessed in sort of Blackadder, you know what I mean? It's just like
a small fruit knife.
So German was second in command of a No. 3 Commando in Operation Archery, a raid on the German garrison at Vagsøy in Norway on 27th of December 1941. As the ramps fell on the first landing craft, he leapt forward from his position playing March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes before throwing a grenade and charging into battle.
Whoa, that's some heavy dude, isn't it?
And for his actions in Dunkirk and Vagsøy, Churchill received the Military Cross and Bar. And this is his first set of battles. This is only 1941.
Oh, Christ.
So next comes Italy, 1943, the Allied invasion of Sicily. So in 1943, as commanding officer, he led 2nd Commando from this landing site at Catania, in Sicily, with his trademark Scottish broadsword slung around his waist, a longbow and arrows around his neck, and his bagpipes under his arm, which he also did in the landings at Salerno. So leading 2nd Commando, Churchill was ordered to capture a German observation post outside of the town of Melina, controlling a pass leading down to the Salerno beachhead. With the help of a corporal, he infiltrated the town and captured the post, just the two of them, taking 42 prisoners, including a mortar squad. Churchill led the men and prisoners back down the pass, with the wounded being carried on carts pushed by German prisoners. He commented that it was an image from the Napoleonic Wars, and he received the Distinguished Service Order for leading this action in Salerno. Churchill later walked back to the town to retrieve his sword, which he had lost in hand-to-hand combat with the German regiments.
Oh, what a fuck. Wait, he's doing this, just only two of them, and he's got a bow, a sword and a bagpipe, and he's just knacking everybody.
He's just knacking everyone.
God.
On his way there, he encountered a disorientated American patrol mistakenly walking towards enemy lines. When the NCO in command of the patrol refused to turn around, Churchill told them that he was going his own way and they wouldn't be coming back for a bloody third time.
God.
So in Yugoslavia in 1944, as part of McLean mission, he led the commandos in Yugoslavia, where they supported Josip Broz Tito's partisans, right? So there was like, because they're already kind of occupied. So they had all the partisans. So basically you're in the hottest hotspot of war there, you know what I mean? From the Adriatic island of this. In May, he was ordered to raid the German-held island of Brac. He organised a motley army of 1,500 partisans, 43 commando, and 1 troop from 40 commando for the raid. So basically you got 1,500 just sort of ordinary folks and 44 commandos. The landing was unopposed, but on seeing the gun emplacement from which they later encountered German fire, the partisans decided to defer the attack until the following day. So they thought, right, there's a massive sort of gun placement up there, you know what I mean? We've got to be careful, we're going to get totally wiped out here.
Let's think about this one.
That's exactly right. So Churchill's bagpipes signalled the remaining commandos to battle. But after being strafed by RAF Spitfire, Churchill decided to withdraw for the night and relaunch the attack the following morning. So basically he was leading them into attack, things were getting confused, Spitfire came down and straight to his commandos.
Oh, got the wrong side.
So he was basically going to attack everything with just 44 men.
Jesus.
He was ready to
So
rock.
all the ones were like, oh, let's think about it. He's like, nah, come on boys, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
But until he got strafed by a Spitfire, he was ready to roll. The following morning, a flanking attack was launched by 43 Commando, with Churchill leading the elements from 40 Commando. The partisan remained at the landing area. So these guys, the 1,500, they didn't shift, they bottled it, right? Only Churchill and 6 others managed to reach the objective. All the other commanders were wiped out.
Jesus. You need to be behind Churchill. That's what I won't be waiting on no beat. I'll be directly behind Churchill.
Well, a mortar shell killed and wounded everyone then, except Churchill, who was playing Million You'll Come Back Again on his bagpipes as the Germans advanced. And he was ready to rock and roll even with them. But then he was
got a gun yet? Has he still got a sword?
I think he has got guns as well, yeah. But but then he was knocked unconscious by grenades.
Oh, that's all that he does to him. He just knocks him out. He doesn't do all else.
Yeah. And he was captured out of the mistaken belief he had a direct relation to Winston Churchill. He was later flown to Berlin for interrogation and then transferred to Sachsenhausen concentration camp.
Ooh, is that a bad one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. But someone like him, they'd be trying to torture him and that. They wouldn't be doing fuck all, would they?
See what happens. In September 1944, Churchill and a Royal Air Force officer, Bertram James, crawled under the wire, through an abandoned drain, and attempted to walk to the Baltic coast. But they were captured near the German coast city of Rostock, a few kilometres from the sea.
Oh, so close.
So close. So then just a few months later, about 7 months later, in April 1945, Churchill and about 140 other prominent concentration camp inmates were transferred to Tyrol, guarded by SS troops. A delegation of prisoners told senior German army officers they feared they would be executed. A German army unit commanded by Captain Richard von Alvensleben moved in to protect the prisoners. So outnumbered, the SS guards moved out. Because what it is, the SS weren't army. No. They were like a specialist bodyguard unit. So, right. But the army had the German army themselves. Right. They actually did have quite a lot of honour to sort of say,
you're not fucking mowing them down in woods.
SS were maniacs, you know. So they left the prisoners behind, and the prisoners were released. And after the departure of the Germans, Churchill walked 150 kilometres or 93 miles to Verona in Italy, where he met an American armoured unit.
What, from Germany to Italy?
Yeah, cool. he just hoofed it, you know. So this is Burma now, 1945, still in the war, right? And as the Pacific War was still going on, Churchill was sent to Burma, where some of the largest land battles against Japan were being fought. Wow. But by the time Churchill reached India, Hiroshima and Nagasaki had been bombed, and the war ended. And Churchill was said to be unhappy with this sudden end of the war, saying, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going another 10 years.
What's up with him?
He's a psychopath, isn't
he? Oh
my
God, I wonder what his body count is. What is he doing?
Well, this is the thing, you know. So he couldn't kind of stay away from war in a weird way. So after the Second World War in British Palestine, Churchill qualified as a parachutist and transferred to the Seaforth Highlanders. He was soon posted to Mandatory Palestine as executive officer of the 1st Battalion, the Highland Light Infantry. Now this was a bit of a hotbed area as Palestine, because this is just before the birth of Israel as a state. There was a massive amount of aggravation with the Arab states and stuff like this, you know.
I didn't know Britain had a slice of pie.
Yeah, it's absolutely sort of
slice of every pie.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We're in everything. It was absolutely bloody appalling, the things we were involved with. You know, I mean, it's like people talk about Israel now, and it's, you know, fair play and everything, but they had to move 900,000 Palestinians out of that land to make it, which, you know, it's going to be
trouble.
It's going to be trouble. You said it. In the spring of 1948, just before the end of the British mandate in the region, he became involved in another conflict. Along with 12 of his soldiers, he attempted to assist the Hadassah medical convoy that came under attack by Arab forces. So the British troops in this time were actually just almost like a peacekeeping force, you know what I mean? Yeah. Churchill was one of the first men on the scene and banged on a bus, offering to evacuate members of the convoy in an armoured personnel carrier, in contradiction to the British military orders to keep out of the fight. His offer was refused in the belief that the Jewish Haganah would come to their aid in an organised rescue. No relief arrived. Churchill and his 12 men provided covering fire against the Arab forces, but 2 of the convoy trucks caught fire and 77 of the 79 people inside were killed. And the event is known today as the Hadassah Medical Convoy Massacre. Of the experience, he said, "About 150 insurgents, armed with weapons varying from blunderbusses and old flintlocks to modern Sten and Bren guns, took cover behind a cactus patch in the grounds of the American colony. I went out and faced them. About 250 riflemen were on the edge of our property shooting at the convoy. I begged them to desist from using the grounds of the American colony for such a dastardly purpose." God. After the massacre, he coordinated the evacuation of 700 Jewish doctors, students and patients from the Hadassah Hospital on the Hebrew University campus on Mount Scopus in Jerusalem, where the convoy had been headed. And in his honour, the street leading to the hospital was named Churchill Boulevard.
Oh, God. How do some people just don't die, do they? They've like got some blessed kind of important.
But no, you were right. Some people just have well, you could call it a blessed life in a way. But I think as well they've just been damn lucky, haven't they? In some ways. But in 1952, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer produced the film Ivanhoe, shot in Britain, featuring Churchill's old rowing companion Robert Taylor. And the studio hired Churchill to appear as an archer, shooting from the walls of Warwick Castle. And in later years, Churchill served as an instructor at the Land Air Warfare School in Australia, where he became a passionate devotee of the surfboard.
Oh, cool! He went into surfing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And back in Britain, he was the first man to ride the River Severn's 5-foot tidal bore and designed his own board. So I don't know if you want to know what it is.
Yeah, I've seen it, and it just goes. It's like it happens a wave, and it just goes on for miles. Yeah.
First man that surf it.
How old are he?
Do you know? I don't know what time he is now, but he was in like a desk job at this time. You know what I mean? So basically, he became like a civil servant. You know, which is he was a bit disappointing, but you know, I mean, he's a spicy old guy. You know,
Christ.
So after his retirement in 1959 to 1996. Right?
What?
Churchill retired from the army then, and in retirement, his eccentricity continued. He startled train conductors and passengers by throwing his briefcase out of the window each day on the ride home. He later explained that he was tossing his case into his own back garden so he would not have to carry it from the station.
A lot of money in cases.
He also, that's the thing, he's into his own garden, so as he's passing his own garden, he was wanging it in.
Oh my God, that's it.
Yeah. And he also enjoyed sailing coal-fired ships on the Thames. You know, those little radio-controlled little ships and stuff. That was his little thing. That's how he sort of lived out his days.
That's
little ships and stuff, you know what I mean? And in March 24, because he died in 1996, aged 89.
Wow,
we've seen all the action, you know.
Yeah.
So in March 2014, the Royal Norwegian Explorers Club published a book that featured Churchill, naming him as one of the finest explorers and adventurers of all time.
Wow, that is such a good story. Tell you what, I can't help thinking it. You know, if you said to me, right, don't smash all my teeth out or kill me, but having a bit of a go, you know what I mean? Just to see how he knocks me out, you know what I mean?
Physically, I imagine he's a bit like Roger Moore.
Yeah, I
because
bet.
That's what they always said about Roger, was they said he had the hardest punch of any man, didn't they?
It's like the one with the fight with Lee Marvin, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lee Marvin, he's an hard bugger, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ex-sniper, wasn't he, on that island? The only man to get off that Japanese island alive. And he just got his ass kicked by Roger Moore.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah, I bet
Smudge.
you're right. Proper.
A bit like an half brick in a sock catching under Joe, wasn't it?
Bet.
So yeah, you won't be messing with Mad Jack Churchill. I mean, the guy he could win the war on his own.
He sounds like it. Wow, bless him.
Example of real heroics, you know what I mean? And that's like, you know, he's got staying power, he's got the tenacity, you know what I mean? But there's somebody else really, I'd still say he's a bit of a hero here, I think, right? Because, so here's the man who's probably been in more movies than any other actor in Hollywood history.
Can I guess your name?
Go on.
I'd say Rip Torn.
Do you know, that is a really good guess. It really is a good guess. But you'll be wrong.
Oh.
This is a guy called James Hong.
James Hong. Cool.
James Hong. right?
Right.
Now, me and Ben would just have a little bit of a chat earlier on, right? And then just join because we like a bit of the old vintage movies and stuff.
Yeah, I love my classics.
And what was the movie we were talking about?
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, and what was the guy you were saying on it?
Oh, Lopan.
Yeah.
The girl with green eyes.
That was James Hong.
All right.
Right?
Oh, I tell you what, you're right with that. I do. He's one of them blokes. I look at him and think, I know you from other films, and he was quite old in that film. Oh, he was looking old. The disguise could
He's still
be.
in films now.
Wow, shit. And that were 80s with Big Trouble.
This is it. So, he spoke Mandarin with Keanu Reeves in The Day the Earth Stood Still. He backflipped his way out of a fight in Wayne's World 2. He was the supportive, noodle-loving Mr. Ping in Kung Fu Panda.
Ah.
He was the maitre d' in the episode of Seinfeld titled The Chinese Restaurant. And without exaggeration, Hong might be the most prolific actor in Hollywood history. Now, if you think of just lists of credits, numbers, and you're going to have a finite amount of numbers in your life, what do you think? How many films could he have been in?
Man, because if you think about it, if he's done over 66 movies, I think that is just bizarre. You know what I mean? Because that is a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
of films.
that's a lot of films.
And you've got to look at it like a year. You know what I mean? It's like how long you've been in the game, how many movies you do in a year. Because a movie is.
How do you fit them all in?
Yeah, exactly. They're a long haul.
With more than 600 credits to his name.
Oh, wow.
He may lay claim to the most credits of any actor.
He has.
Living.
He has.
Yeah.
It's got to be. How the hell has he fitted that in?
Yeah.
What a pro. What an absolute pro.
Hong's path to stardom started, as many do, as a child practicing in front of a mirror. But he kept his acting aspirations from his parents. I'm not going to do the voice. Well, you know, Chinese parents want you to do some professional jobs rather than be an actor, Hong says. Being an actor is like the last rung in the ladder of professions. They don't even call it a profession because it's shameful to demonstrate your feelings in front of an audience. You were taught to be kind of quiet and keep to yourself. Still, he received some of his favourite acting inspiration from his father's herb shop in Minnesota. He recalls, all the laundrymen from Minneapolis had nothing to do on weekends, so they would gather at my father's herb store. I remember that because we'd have all these little wooden stools and they'd all gather there, and they hired these Chinese opera people from San Francisco to come along and do their thing. And he was only a little boy, and he said he'd watch them with wide eyes and just think, wow, that's a profession.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's it.
To please his parents, Hong graduated from the University of Southern California with a degree in civil engineering.
Wow.
So he's a smart guy. And while working for Los Angeles County building roads, he continued to try and find work as an actor and comedian. His big break came on a TV show called You Bet Your Life, hosted by Groucho Marx.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did an impersonation of Groucho, James Cagney and so forth, Hong said. But his appearance was a massive hit. I got the second biggest fan mail ever on the Groucho Marx show. The TV appearance landed him an agent, and with it, the start of a career in Hollywood. All of a sudden they wanted me to be in a movie, Hong said. And that movie was Soldier of Fortune, a 1955 film starring Clark Gable.
Wow.
So he's straight into the big time
Yeah,
there, you know what I mean? It was just some kind of experience I never forgot, to act with Clark Gable. Then, right after, I got my union card and started one after another. I had quit civil engineering, Hong says. And soon enough he was acting alongside the likes of John Wayne, William Holden and Jennifer Jones. And he says, from then on it was 10 movies or TV shows a year.
God, that's...
Those earlier roles, though, were limiting to say the least.
That's a problem with it, innit? Yeah, he's never the star, he's always the background kind of...
Well, that's the thing, you know what I mean? And it's sort of... So Hong says, Asians were put into a movie or TV mainly as a gimmick. We were never thought of as playing the main roles, the leading people, but that's just the way it was. Hong began his career during an era of flagrant yellow face in Hollywood, where white actors would routinely play Asian characters. Marlon Brando played an Okinawan local in The Tea House of the August Moon. Mickey Rooney played the buck-tooth. Yeah,
that Mickey that is bad.
bad,
They should have known it at that age. They should have known that.
Yeah, it was. It was Mickey Rooney played the buck-toothed Mr. Yunioshi in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And John Wayne played the Mongol Emperor Genghis Khan in The Conqueror.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Glad I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Even in The New Adventures of Charlie Chan, a crime TV series in which Hong played a supporting role, Irish-American actor J. Carroll Naish played the lead as a Chinese-American detective. Hong says, any other movie that demanded an Asian lead most of the time was played by Caucasian actors with their eyes taped up and their little teeth. So they put
man.
I ended up in the early career mostly playing laundrymen or persecuted Chinamen. It was tough, very tough, to get out of that mould. But Hong didn't let Hollywood's narrow lens limit his abilities. I did the best as an actor to overcome the clichéness because I had to in order to keep working. I took those roles and then I used what my teachers had taught me and put in real feeling, even if it's a villain. I tried to find what makes the person really that person. So to name just a few of his little sort of his parts and stuff like that, he was in Big Trouble in Little China, big role in that one.
Massive. That was good actually, like good size movie for him.
As I mentioned before, Kung Fu Panda. He was in Mulan. Blade Runner, and that's one of my favourite roles. Blade Runner, yeah.
The replicant eye maker.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Oh, just.
That all. Oh, yeah. Such a good film.
Such a good film. I just want to watch it now. Kung Fu Panda 2. Balls of Fury. I don't know what that is.
I ain't seen. I know what it is. Like some spoofy ping pong thing or something.
Yeah. So Wayne's World 2. We mentioned before. Chinatown.
I've never seen it.
Oh, mate, it's good. I've got it on DVD.
Oh, sweet.
Do you want
Easy.
Give a little play later. He was in Airplane.
Can't remember him in it, but isn't it?
I can't remember him in it. Golden Child. That was a famous movie. There's a few more sorts of things. Tango and Cash. The Day the Earth Stood Still. Revenge of the Nerds. Let's have a look. Kid. Oh, there's a lot of kung fu movies. It looks like he was in quite a few. That sort of like Bloodsport.
Oh,
they just go on and on and on. It looks like though. I mean,
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I don't think he don't like he was too fussy about the jobs. It was a job for him, wasn't it? Really?
He just worked his craft like he said. He put his soul into it. He never thought about it.
Yeah, but then again, I think that shows in the movies that he did. You know, because he did. No matter what the role was, even if you might see it as a schmaltzy one, you know. He put everything he had into it. And I think that's to be commended, really. Yeah. I'm very impressed.
Bless him. Good on him. He's still going.
He's still going now.
Excellent.
Yeah. He's an older chap now, obviously, but he's still going. Looked after himself.
Yeah.
You know, 91 years old now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's doing okay. Yeah, but I'd like to raise a glass to James Hong because
definitely.
Without him, I think a lot of our favourite films had certainly lacked some depth.
Hugely.
Right, well, it's getting a little bit late now, kid. We're going to have to go out there soon and tackle them bloody triffids, aren't we?
I created them.
You can keep one. I'll let you keep one. We'll have to remove its stinger and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But, I think we're going to have to be... but we're going to have to... It's not going to be an easy task,
I think that holds him down with seawater. That's what happens in movies.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, and that into the lighthouse, funnily enough.
Yeah, well, he does, doesn't he? Yeah. That's true, is that? But... we're going to have to be tenacious, we're going to have to be strong, hold it together, that kind of thing.
Aye.
And one of my heroes for this is a guy called Cliff Young. Have you ever heard of Cliff Young?
Cliff Young? I can't say I have, no.
No. Well, Cliff Young was born the eldest son and the third of 7 children of Mary and Albert Ernest Young on 8th of February 1922. And he grew up on a farm in Beech Forest in southwestern Victoria in Australia. So it's a big old farm, right? But what they predominantly grew was they had sheep on there and potatoes and stuff like this, right? So in 1983, so this was quite a bit later on, you know what I mean? He's been a busy lad working all that sort of malarkey. In 1983, the Westfield Sydney to Melbourne ultramarathon was taking place, right? And it's a distance, I kid you not here, 544-mile long race.
Oh.
It was 875 kilometres. And the race was run between what was then Australia's two largest Westfield shopping centres, Westfield Parramatta in Sydney and Westfield Doncaster in Melbourne. Now, the people taking part in this were predominantly the supreme athletes of the time. I mean, when we're talking supreme, these were people who had to be more than in their prime.
Plus, it's those, that bit when you're not a sprinter, you're a long distance runner, aren't you? You're like a specialised kind of.
Most people in this were under the age of 30. Right? Under the age of 30, they had support, they had sponsorship.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. It was actually a really big deal because the ultramarathon events at that time weren't as big as they are now. These were sort of insane events, And then Cliff Young turns up, and he's wearing his overalls and Wellingtons.
What? Wellies? How old's this kid now?
Right. This guy, when he turned up there, he's 61-year-old.
In overalls and a welly. They
call it work boots, but they reckon it could have been gum boots, could have been Wellington boots. But basically, he's in his work boots and overalls. He's in his work clobber, right?
Oh my god!
And first of all, when he turns up, they sort of turn around and saying, "Sorry, mate, competitors over here and spectators over there." And he says, "Oh, I've turned up to take part in the race."
Yeah.
Right. And he says he's going to go for it. Right. Right. And he didn't have his teeth, and there's no teeth in his head. This is because he don't like he's having his teeth in because he said the rattle when he ran. Right. So anyway, because he filled out all the forms and everything like that they thought was going on, so they said right. But because of course then he sort of gained a bit of press. They all liked it, so they said, yeah, come on mate, you can line up with all these
going in a costume nowadays, isn't it? A London Marathon.
Yeah, that's it. He's not going in a suit of armour or something. So they all lined up to all the competitors, right? The starting pistol went off, and off the wall went right. So these guys went off a cracking pace, right? And poor old Cliff Young just starts shuffling off, right? They've immediately left him in the dust.
Oh man, shuffling just a little
like a
jog.
weird shuffling little run that he does. This odd little sort of shuffling, sort of like, and it just looked funny. Just a guy in overalls and gumboots sort of shuffling out.
Last one.
And I'm thinking, oh my god, this is. But I mean, it was literally last man within the first 4 meters.
Following him in a car and picking him up. You ain't going.
Well, I think a lot of this is actually going to be a little bit off-road as well. It's like trails and stuff, so it's quite spectacular because it's not just on tarmac. And off he goes after them, And but what happens is the way they work is the way the races go. The race for 18 hours. These guys run for 18 hours and sleep for 6. Then they get up and they race for another 18 hours and sleep for 6. Right. So what happened was they did that. They got there, and as they got up in the morning, Cliff had overtaken them. He hadn't slept. Cliff Young had run through the night.
And is that allowed?
It's up to them how you run your race. It's just their choices. So then these young guys all got themselves ready and set off, and of course overtook Cliff again, didn't they? You know what I mean? But it took them a while to catch him. Right? That night, they all had to go to bed again. Right? Cliff had left them for dust.
Shuffling.
So they all had to run like fuck again to catch up with Cliff, right, and overtake him again, right, before it's bedtime on the 3rd night. So this basically took 5 nights to do this, right? And Cliff didn't sleep for 5 days. He just kept up with a constant same shuffling run.
It's like Forrest Gump or something, isn't it?
Before eventually winning by 10 hours.
10 hours? Oh my god. Yeah. How do you not sleep for 5 days?
Well, what he said afterwards that during the race he imagined he was running after sheep trying to outrun a storm. Because on his farm, what he had to do, he had to round up the sheep. But these places, the farm he had was something like 2,000 acres. So he had to run for all these fields to find all his sheep and gather them all up, you know what I mean? So before the race, he actually said that he told press that he'd previously run for 2 to 3 days straight, non-stop, just in wellies before. Jesus. So he had done it before, and this is like I said, just in fields. You know. So the Westfield run took him 5 days, 15 hours and 4 minutes, so breaking the record as well. Almost 2 days faster than the previous record for any run between Sydney and Melbourne. At an average speed of 6.5 kilometres per hour, which is only 4 miles per hour, but that's constant, non-stop, never giving in. All 6 competitors who finished the race broke the old record. Upon being awarded the prize of Australian dollars $10,000, which is the equivalent of $32,000 now, right?
Yeah.
Young said that he didn't know there was a prize and that he felt bad accepting it, as each of the other 5 runners who finished had worked as hard as he did.
Oh, bless him.
So he split the money equally between them and kept none.
God, we need to be more like this dude. Oh, what an innocent. I wonder why he did it. He just thought, God, I could do that, because I do it for, for a job anyway. This is
I think he just sort of spat in his hands, gave him a rub and says, I'll give it a go. So Young became very popular after this tortoise and hare feat. So much so that in Colac, Victoria, the Cliff Young Australian 6-day race was established that same year. And he was awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia for long distance running.
God, he should have done that. Dude.
But despite the attempting the event again in later years, Young was unable to repeat this performance or claim victory again. So in 1997, at the age of 76, he made an attempt to beat Ron Grant's Round Australia record.
76?
He completed...
Oh my God.
6,520 kilometres of the 16,000 kilometre run.
Oh my God.
But he had to pull out because his only crew member became ill.
It was someone else.
Yeah, it's someone else.
Oh, what an hard nutter.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Cliff Young was a vegetarian from 1973 until his death. He lived at the family home with his mother and brother, Sid. Young had remained single throughout his life. But after the 1983 race, at 62 years of age, he married 23-year-old Mary Howell.
Go on, Cliff.
The race sponsor, the Westfield Shopping Centre, hosted the wedding for the entertainment of shoppers. But Young and Howell divorced 5 years later. Renowned for his ungainly running style, Young ran more than 20,000 kilometres during his competitive career. And after 5 years of illness and several strokes, he died of cancer, age of 81, in his home in Queensland. A memorial in the shape of a gumboot in Beach Forest is dedicated to Young, and Cliff Young Drive and Cliff Young Park there are named after him. But the Young Shuffle has been adopted by some ultramarathon runners because it expends less energy.
Wow.
At least 3 winners of the Sydney to Melbourne race were known to use the Young Shuffle to win the race in 2010. Yeah.
So it's like he's got a weird science to it. And I bet he made that up just because he was doing it so much, catching the sheep, that he had to survive, and he like naturally evolved into that style.
That's how Cliff Young got about.
Wow.
That's the way he did it. I for one salute him, slow and steady.
I mean, I just love them people do it their own way. Everybody's doing it one way, and he just turns around and does it his own way.
Guy's an absolute maverick.
Oh,
you know
I love stuff like that. Hero.
Hero, Cliff Young. Big fan of Cliff Young. And I want to see. I for one want to see that gumboot, don't you?
Yeah, I want to see it shuffle as well. I wonder if there's any video.
There is, yeah.
Is there?
Well, there is even a movie called, a telemovie called Cliffy.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that'd be worth a watch, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? I quite fancy the look of that. But yeah, there we are, Cliff Young. I'm a bit of an admirer of the man.
Oh, good tales, man, good tales.
Right, well, that's enough casting, kid. I think it's time to get out our chainsaws and baboons.
Yeah, release the baboons. They'd have it sorted in no time. Bit of grounds maintenance.
But before that, right, here we go. What have I got over here? Right, I've got this ladle, and I've got a peeler here. I've got a peeler, right?
I'll get hose pipe.
You get your hose pipe with salty water, right? And I'm about to open this door. So before we do, well, just about time for us to say goodbye from Kraken Cove. Maybe for the last time.
Yeah, maybe forever. Hopefully see you soon.
We'll do our best to come back next week. So it's a big bye from me, Matt.
And it's a big Benny goodbye from Benny. Yeah.
Right, I'll open this door then, kids. 1, 2, 3.
either by email at krakencovepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter @Kraken Cove, or Instagram @Kraken Cove Pod. Ha ha!